One more time. One more time, the Bison are in Frisco, Texas. One more time, Easton Stick can add to his legacy. One more time, 24 seniors get to wear the Bison uniform. One more time, Chris Kleiman will lead NDSU onto the field. One more time, NDSU looks to be the last team standing in the FCS. One more time.
It's another beautiful day in Frisco, Texas, and Bison Nation once again has not disappointed. Eastern Washington and NDSU, it's game day in Frisco. Join us.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Hello and welcome into the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. I am Alex Egan here in our Fargo studios. In just a moment, we will send you out to Frisco, the tailgate lot out there. Our entire crew standing by. We are with you for the next 90 minutes to get you set for North Dakota State and Eastern Washington, the FCS National Championship game. North Dakota State going for its 7th national title in the last 8 seasons. Let's not waste any time. Let's get out to Frisco, the tailgate lot. You saw Beth Hool and the gang earlier there today. Guys, happy game day Saturday to ya.
Happy game day, Alex. Happy game day, Fargo, and the entire state of North Dakota, and all of you joining us from Minnesota. Really appreciate it. It is hopping down here. Once again, Bison Nation has not disappointed, showing up in force, really drowning out this Eastern Washington, any form of a contingency that they do have.
Yeah, I was during the Bison Tunnel Walk and heading down there, and the band was playing, and I happened to walk by a couple of Eastern Washington a couple, I guess, and they said, well, when do we get to have our pep rally? And I was thinking, you don't have enough people here.
Best part is they'd already gone by, too. Yeah.
No, I just think the first year, I think, will always be the most special year in 2011 because it was the first for all of us. But the atmosphere has never changed in the 7 years we have been down here. And that's a testament to all the fans you see behind you and the community support, not only in Fargo, but in North Dakota and all across the country that turn out to Frisco here for this event.
I'm trying to figure out where you found Eastern Washington
Yeah,
fans.
where are they?
Because this is awesome. Look at Bison Nation. This is as cool as it gets. This place is packed with green and yellow, and these people have brought it all week. Where'd you find Eastern Washington fans?
There's only two of them standing in the background.
Ryan's calling your bluff, LT. Well, you know what, you guys? I really think the hardest question that is challenging Bison fans right now is where are they going to put their coats come game time? Because it is heating up here. This is a beautiful day for football.
It is. I already walked my coat to the car and put it in the trunk. I don't think we're going to need it. This is awesome today. No wind, sun's out. Beautiful. The type of day that when you leave the state and come to Texas in January, you want to enjoy, that we are today.
Thursday, we saw the worst of what Texas can offer. It was warmer in Fargo on Thursday than it was in Frisco.
Yeah.
It was 40 degrees, it was 36 and rain here. It warmed up into the 50s yesterday. We're going to get into the mid-60s today, but no wind and sunshine. This is what it's all about, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And the field is pristine.
Yeah.
People worry about the field from a couple of years ago, especially with all the rain we had. Well, it was covered from the time we got here on Wednesday up until late on Thursday. Now it's seen this beautiful sunshine for 2 days. It's going to be an immaculate playing surface. Bison should be able to get good traction running the football today.
Yeah, they should have no problem. Well, we've got lots of football to talk about today. We've got some former Bison football players joining us. We've got some representation from the Missouri Valley. This is always a huge weekend for the Missouri Valley, a great opportunity for them to flex across the FCS. We've got an exclusive interview with Mike Stick, Easton's father, his first interview ever with a TV station in Easton's entire football career, as well as an amazing, heartwarming story of Bison Nation supporting one of its own. You'll want to stick with us throughout this entire 90 minutes, taking you right up to kickoff. Right, for now, Alex, we'll toss it back to you.
All righty, thank you very much, Beth. We will send it back out to the tailgate lot with Mike Morkin standing by with our Bison Tailgate Trivia. Mike?
All right, hello everyone. We are out in the tailgate section, and boy, we're in a crowd here. Tell me a little bit, your name is?
Heather Segvold.
Heather, everybody's in line and they're going through getting food and picking out stuff. Where's everybody from?
We have 4 buses that came down from Midwest Sports Tours. So we have groups that came from Bismarck, we have from Fargo, West Fargo, and we picked people up in Sioux Falls, we picked people up all the way down here. But our whole group together, we have a mechanical bull going, but we have lots of drinks and good food, and it's just a good time.
And here we are playing tailgate trivia. Heather, we're going to go with you first, all right? Playing for a $50 gift card. Roger, don't cheat.
All right.
How many people will Toyota Stadium hold for a football game? Is it 20,800 or 18,800? And since there's nobody around to help, you're on your own.
18-8.
Let's try that again. How many people will Toyota Stadium hold? Oh, someone yelled.
20.
20,800?
Yeah, 20,800.
That's correct. That's correct. Heather, here's your gift card. Nice try. That was a flag on the play.
Thanks, Rod.
All right, here we go. We almost had our first wrong answer. Roger, your name?
Roger Mansky.
Where are you from?
West Fargo.
All right, here we go. Ready? Who leads the Bison team in interceptions? Is it Robbie Grimsley or Jabril Cox?
Robbie Grimsley.
Oh, you knew that one.
I did know that.
You knew that one. You are correct. Robbie Grimsley has 6, and Jabril has 4, and maybe both of them will have an interception today. You are correct, sir. Woo! So you win a gift card as well.
All right.
That's how easy it is here in Texas. In fact, it seems a lot easier here than it is back home. But we're answering questions, and we'll be back later with more, so stick around.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. We here at the KVLY KFYR Bison Football Network are so proud to bring you Bison coverage week in and week out. A large reason we are able to put just about every Bison football game on your television is because of the vision of Valley News Live General Manager Jim Wareham. It is with great sadness that we tell you Jim passed away December 14th. The only thing that topped Jim's love for broadcast television was his love for trains. Each of us knew Jim as a man who wanted to put the best product possible on TV, and his commitment to our Bison football coverage was second to none. On behalf of all of us from the KVLY KFYR Bison Football Network, we send our condolences to Jim's wife and his sons, and a sincere appreciation for everything he has meant to all of us. Stay with us. More pregame show to come.
Joe Clanderman, the defensive backs coach at North Dakota State on Coach 'em Up. And Coach, we're talking about tackling today.
Yeah, defensive backs get charged with probably the 2 hardest duties that there is, which is covering people in the open field and then tackling people in the open field. And so it's a big deal, and we've got a lot of guys here that do it really well. And I think open field tackling really comes down to 3 components. You know, the first of which is just how you approach the ball carrier. You know, and if you were the ball carrier, for example,
Sure.
and I was coming to tackle you in the open field, I think it's really important, and one of the common mistakes that a lot of younger players make is they jump in front of the ball carrier like this, and when they do that, they don't understand that they give a 2-way go to the ball carrier. I might miss this tackle out this way or out this way if I'm frontal on the ball carrier. On the other hand, if I can always attack that near hip and I can always just keep pressing this angle, you know, I'm taking care of any cutback that might happen this way, and I may miss the tackle, but I'm only going to miss it one way. I'm going to force the ball carrier to go that way, and that increases my likelihood for success. Okay, so angle to the near hip is bullet point 1. I think that's really huge. Number 2 is you have to get your body under control. Really difficult to make an open field tackle if I'm just running full speed out of control. We have a lot of components to that, but in a nutshell, all I want to do is decelerate and continue to close ground. And as I work to him, I want to continue to keep a stagger in my feet, which should keep my hips square, and now I can redirect both directions. Also, while I'm doing that, and this will kind of lead into part number 3, I want to keep my weight forward, because as I do continue to close ground on him, I want to make sure that when I do get in the strike zone, I can work up and through him, which is part number 3. is the finish. You know, everybody gets into the good position now, but now how do I finish? And I think the big thing is you just want to make sure you're stepping through the person. And the more I watch at youth kids at camp and such, I see kids come to the tackle and then they kind of grab them and they kind of just try to do. You have to step through the man, up and through, to get him on the ground the right way.
A lot of those youth football players, it's the grab and the twist, right?
That's right. The grab, the twist.
Doesn't quite get you to the ground.
And I'd rather just have it be perfect every time.
And of course, the safety aspect, head up.
Correct. And just we essentially just say keep your head out of contact, period. You know, anytime we're striking with anything, we're striking with our chest, we're striking with our shoulder, never ever touching anybody with the head for safety reasons and, of course, for legality reasons.
Absolutely. Good, safe, and get them to the ground. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Welcome back inside our Fargo studios. Joe Clanderman there, one of the four Bison assistant coaches coaching in his last game for the Bison. He will join Chris Kleiman's staff at Kansas State. The Bison are in the building. We got some video showing you the Bison arriving to Toyota Stadium. There he is, Easton Stick, the quarterback, playing in his last game as a Bison. Hopefully his future does not end with football after this one. I know he is going to play in the East-West Shrine game after this one, but still work to be done today as he goes after another national championship. The Bison are in the building, and we go back out to the tailgate lot where Beth Houle is joined by a couple of former Bison, guys that have made this walk before. She joins us with our Proceed Player Roundtable. Beth?
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I'm joined by a couple of guys making their first trip down to Frisco as alumni. We've got Nate Tangway, Jared Tuska, and Nick DeLuca joining us. Thanks, guys, for making it down here and joining us, taking a little bit of time away from the celebration of this week to join us.
Oh, it's unbelievable. There's 30, 40,000 people here. That's something that we never saw. Even coming off the bus, it's just unbelievable. Because you're like, wow, it's a sea of people. There's got to be, 5,000 people waiting for us. But it's so much more. It goes miles and miles, it seems like. And it's so cool to be able to experience it for the first time.
It's truly Frisco South. Or Fargo South. Fargo South, sorry. But, every bar you go to, it's just like going out in Fargo on the weekends. Everybody's NDSU.
We travel pretty well.
We travel extremely well. Yeah. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to say, people keep asking us, like, oh, how is it, not playing? Are you going to be sad? I'm like, no, this is too fun. Are you kidding me?
Has it almost become like the next generation owes it to you to get you guys down here so that you can experience this side of it? I think that's how we need to change the conversation. Yeah. It's not win it for the seniors, it's win it for the most recent alums so that they can come down here.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing anything else right now. This is a dream come true, like being able to finally see an entire season outside of football without the pressure, without the stress, the injuries and all that type of stuff. So it's to be able to do it just with the boys, having fun. It's cool.
Well, it's just a completely different experience too. Just getting to see it as a fan. We're on the other side looking out, and now we get to look in. So it's really cool to get a different perspective and really just see how the Bison fans are and get out here and really enjoy tailgating. It's really awesome.
Well, and this has been such an interesting season to observe. The undefeated season, everything that this crew has done, such an impressive group of seniors playing, and really this entire team. There was a really good feeling around the program after you guys left it in really good hands, that this was going to be a good year. But then you add on to it also all of the coaching change stuff. What was that like to be on the outside of? I know you've maybe got a little bit of an inside track with your brother there, but what was that like to watch and experience?
I just think it's very similar to when we were freshmen. Coach Bull leaving, Coach Kleiman stepping back up. Nothing's going to change. It's nice when you hire within the coaching
just
staff.
Just pick up right where we left off.
Coach ends, nothing's going to change.
How glad were you guys, though, to see how differently it was handled this go-around?
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah,
our situation was a little different. Not hearing it maybe firsthand was hard for some of us.
No surprise, though, that that's how Chris would handle this.
Yeah, no doubt.
And just being freshmen, when that stuff happened to us, we didn't know any better. We were there for 3-4 months. We were like, what is going on? Do we stay here?
What's going on?
What are we doing? For not having recruited us? Who are we going to get? Different scheme, all that type of stuff. But, Coach Kleiman's a blessing. He's one of the best men that I think we can all say that we've ever met in our entire lives.
Oh, yeah,
and we can
no
all
doubt.
say that about Coach Hens too. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
you
an
guys.
unbelievable
I mean,
man.
yeah, you guys probably know Coach Hens better than most of the guys I could have up here, given that you guys were all defensive guys. So, what do you think about that? Did you guys ever think of him as a head coach? Did you see that trajectory for him? I was convinced.
Nick is the closest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick knows him better.
Yeah, I
than
mean,
anybody.
I got to spend 4 years with him and working alongside that guy every day. I mean, I saw what the type of character he has. He's one of the best role models and coaches that you could ask for. So there's no question that he's going to take over, and it's going to be a seamless transition. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be, taking over. With
And
no
not
problem.
only that, I mean, Nick's girlfriend, babysat his kids,
Yeah.
and Nick was over there all the time. They just do that, and they go hang out. I would go over there for Easter, whenever
It's just a
I
big
wasn't
family.
going
I
over.
mean,
It's
that's
so
a test
cool
to
what he did.
NDSU and everyone.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got a little bit of time left, and I really want to know your guys' thoughts on Eastern Washington. You guys saw them the last 2 seasons, the last 2 years of your guys' careers. What do you guys kind of make of that?
Well, first things first, Easton Stick is the best player in the nation. Him not winning the Walter Payton Award is a travesty among everybody here, okay?
Yeah, I kind of
hate
lost
it.
respect for the award at that
It's
point.
terrible.
Unless you have video game numbers.
What's the name of the kid? What's the name of the kid?
Devlin.
Devlin? Oh my God. How do you give a kid that award and his name is Devlin? That's absolutely terrible. So, Eastern Washington, we're going to win 49-21.
Think it puts a little edge.
Garbage. Oh, yeah. They were so mad. Everybody respects Easton so much, and they want him to be that, they wanted him to get that award. So him not getting it, it puts a little bad taste in everybody's mouth.
I think this group of seniors, I mean, they're hungry, and what better way to finish your college career than winning a national championship and
No better feeling.
and going
Speaking from
and
experience.
going undefeated. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really good. It's gonna be a good day.
Okay, 2013 versus this team. Who wins? Give me a score. I said 28-10.
Now we're getting to the
Who?
nitty
Who?
gritty here.
2013.
2013 wins it?
2013 wins against this team 28-10. Defensively, they were so much more talented. What you don't know?
I don't know.
What about
I think-
Jabril?
I
What
think,
about 'em?
I think they're two different squads, two kind of different eras a little bit. And it's just stuff's changed.
Oh.
I
They're
like the boldness, but I respect the caution. All right. Running out of time. Update people. What are you doing with your lives?
I work for Radio FM Media. I'm doing sales there, and I'm doing stuff with Bison 1660. I love being on the radio. I love doing all that
Tried to
type of
get
stuff.
you on TV, but went to the radio side.
Clearly, I mean, my face is not okay for TV,
Better
so
for
that's
radio.
why I cautioned away from that.
Yeah, so I'm a production associate over at Bayer now, soybean production in West Fargo, and then I guide for Hillsview Hunts, pheasant hunting,
Nice.
back home on the weekend. So anybody, hillsviewhunts.com. You want to chase some birds
I don't
around?
think that conflicts with any of our sponsors.
No,
so I'm
no,
all right
we're
with
just-
that.
we're
Yeah.
just throwing this
Although
out there.
maybe
You-
we need to get you a sponsorship on the pregame show.
Yeah,
I think we'll
gotta
call
check
you
it
guys
out.
next
Oh.
year. Well, it's great having you guys both around town, and we really love being able to run into you guys all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, you're a little bit further away these days.
Yeah, a little farther down south, but just trying to enjoy the whole process. This first year's been it's been an absolute whirlwind, but it's been a joy, and I'm excited to go into this off season and see what happens next year down in Jacksonville. So.
Well, it's always fun to keep an eye on you. Great to have another pro Bison in the ranks and see what you're doing. Always appreciate your willingness to respond to my text messages when I ask you about things. So
No problem. Yeah.
Always appreciate that. And guys, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Bison Nation loves to see you guys down here, and I hope you guys continue to have a good time. I'll cut you free from here. We're going to toss it over to Brian Shawn, joined by Mike Kern from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Brian?
All right, thanks so much, Beth. Here with Mike Kern, who is now making his 8th straight trip down here to Frisco. There's been a Valley team in this championship game for almost an entire decade. North Dakota State in 7 of them, Youngstown State the other year. I'm guessing it never gets old.
It never gets old. We'd like to have a Valley versus Valley final again like we did in 2014, but we'll keep coming back.
Does it ever anything still surprise you about what North Dakota State has done? I think there's always this expectation from the fan base and others that this team is always going to be here, but you've been around long enough to know how hard it is to get to this spot.
I think some of the fans that expect to be here should take a step back and realize how special this is. We did talk to somebody in the hospitality area before I came over here, and she was telling me that they've got their tickets planned for next year. They're already going to book their flights, and that's a lot of pressure on the new head coach, but we expect to be back here with one of our teams, probably North Dakota State again.
Valley football, another strong year. Probably didn't get as many teams in the playoffs as we would have liked. Indiana State, in my opinion, certainly should have been in, but it was still a tough league from top to bottom. I think we saw that with some of the improvement of some of the teams that have struggled in the past and how much better they were this year.
Yeah, you mentioned Indiana State 0-11 to 7-4 this year, and I think they should have gotten into, but the math is there. They only had 6 Division I wins, which hurts them. They played Quincy in their opener, but we're always good for 4 or 5 spots. We should be anyway.
Future of the league. I know you're always looking ahead. What are some things on the horizon that you guys are already looking at? You and Patty Viverito, who are always trying to keep things in mind about where the Valley is headed in the future.
Well, next year, of course, is our last year with its current composition of teams. North Dakota coming in. It'll create some new rivalries with North Dakota and North Dakota State. We're excited about having them as part of the fold, but same thing for next year.
All right, Mike, thanks as always for the time. We appreciate you joining us. Enjoy the festivities, and we hope we're celebrating a championship here again for the league at about 2:30 today.
I think that's going to happen. Thanks, Brian.
Mike Kern from the Missouri Valley Conference joining us here in Frisco. Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Brian, and to Mike Kern for taking some time there and talking to us. We have so much more to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Please stay with us. We'll be with you right up to kickoff of North Dakota State and Eastern Washington. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. We will talk a little bit about Eastern Washington. They enter at 12-2. They've won their last 7 games, 7-1 in the Big Sky. And we're going to tell you about 2 impact players that we think will make a difference in today's game. And that is wide receiver Simba Webster and nose tackle JT Tiuli, who may or may not play. We haven't heard from head coach Aaron Best yet if Tiuli will be in the lineup. He was arrested December 8th and was actually suspended for the semifinal game against Maine. So Tiuli is a 6'4", 315-pound senior. He was named Big Sky Conference Defensive MVP. Again, he was arrested for a dispute with his brother. It was initially a felony assault. They have since knocked it down, changed the charge to a second-degree misdemeanor assault. So we are not sure yet if JT Tiuli will be playing, but he is a big part of that defensive front for Eastern Washington. On the offensive side, Simba Webster is a dude. He catches pretty much everything thrown at him. He's got 80 catches this year for 1,287 yards and 11 scores. He is their big play receiver that they go to. The Bison are familiar with him. They've seen him before. He's played a couple of times against the Bison. So Simba Webster, somebody to keep your eye on today for this Eastern offense. Of course, quarterback Eric Berrier as well. We will talk about him and Easton Stick a little bit later in the show. Let's go out to the tailgate lot in Frisco and our crew with their thoughts on Eastern Washington. Guys?
Hey, thanks, Alex. Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like you can go through all the impact players you want on Eastern Washington. I just don't think they match up. They've been riddled with injuries all season long, and I just don't think that they can hang with the Bison physically. I think all year we've talked about these teams who are following the Bison blueprint, and they want to do things the way the Bison do, but they just aren't quite there yet. And I think we've got another example here today.
Yeah. Oh, I'll agree. I think there's two main reasons why the Bison are going to. Yeah, no. But you're right, Beth. The offensive line, all 5 guys have not missed a start. I mean, you can't just, look at that and say that's not a huge advantage. And then on the defensive side, I asked an interesting question to Coach Klanderman earlier this week when I talked to him. I said, so are the defensive ends or the defensive tackles going to have a bigger game? And he goes, good question. I don't know, meaning both. So I just think that there's no way, in my opinion anyway, and we'll see how it plays out, that Eastern can handle either of the 2 most important things in football, and that's the offense and defensive line.
Let's go back to last year, where North Dakota State was at in the injury department. Think about where the secondary was. Marquise Bridges had not played a lot of football at corner. Jalen Allison did not play. Jalen Wimbush did not play. The Bison still found a way to not only get to the championship game, but win it. This year, they got everybody. All the dudes are playing for North Dakota State here today, and that is a big reason why North Dakota State, I think, has been to this point and has been as dominant as they have been, is they have not had any catastrophic season-ending injuries. Yes, they lost a couple guys early in the season. Yes, Bruce Anderson has missed some games. Yes, Blake Anderson missed a game. But everybody in that secondary that you'd want playing against Eastern Washington are going to be in today. I would anticipate we're going to see
and
some
their
takeaways.
linebackers are healthy once again, so you can contain that run game plenty.
And I think Eastern Washington, maybe for the first time all year, has to hang. And I don't know that they've had to hang with offensive teams very much this year. In other words, they might have to play catch up with North Dakota State. And with a sophomore quarterback going against the Bison, I'll take the Bison defense, guys that have been there, done that, against a sophomore quarterback anytime. I don't care how good he is and how much he gets out of the pocket. They're going to have to hang, and we'll see if they can. I don't think they have the firepower to do.
I mean, look at what this Bison defense did to Taryn Christian, somebody who knows the Bison well, has all of the experience, has played in the semifinals of the FCS playoffs a couple of times, or at least once, and they handled him incredibly easily when it really comes down to it. They scared him.
Yeah, Christian is a better scrambler than Berrier is. Berrier might be, at this point, a little bit better of a dual threat. But I think if push comes to shove, the Bison coaching staff, at least on the defensive side, are happy that the young kid is playing, even though he might be a dual threat, than that Gubrud is playing. Because I think Gubrud would scare NDSU a lot more than this kid, even though he is multifaceted.
Well, and even though, this is a little bit of a different Eastern Washington look than Eastern Washington has been in the past, they're starting to run that ball a little bit more. Okay, the Bison play against run teams all the time.
But I will say this about Eastern Washington, as I think they are taking on the personality of their coach more this year than they did a year ago. They are running the football better. When you look at what they've actually been able to do on the ground, again, against suspect defenses,
really good.
260 yards a game on the ground. Yeah. They have 4 different guys that carry it, plus the quarterback. And I think they are committed to it more than what they have been in the past. They are not winging it 50 times a game. So are they going to be able to just run read option against NDSU? No. But I think they're not going to be as impatient throwing the ball 60 times a game as they probably would have last year.
They certainly rely on explosive plays in the run game in order to pick up the tempo and pick up the pace. And what is one thing that NDSU has not given up a lot of? Big plays on the ground all year long.
Well, and even that, take the big play, sure, maybe get down the field, but then good luck in the red zone.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue.
The one thing I like that Eastern Washington has done is they have embraced the underdog role. They know they're underdogs coming in, and they're fine with it. We've seen that flip the last couple of years. Teams come in here, think they will play with the Bison, think they will beat the Bison. Eastern Washington comes in, and they don't know what to expect. They're underdogs, and they're okay with it. I had a chance, guys, to catch up with their play-by-play announcer, Larry Weir, a little bit earlier this week, and a pretty interesting conversation from a guy that knows a lot about the Eagles. Thank you, guys. Larry Weir is in his 28th year at Eastern Washington. And, Larry, for Eastern Washington, it's kind of the same old. That offense is still really good, although you've added some things on defense, and all of a sudden there's this Eastern Washington running game. It's a lot more balanced than the Bison saw a year or so ago.
It really is, Ryan. They've done a great job with getting this offensive line bigger, more physical, ready to run block rather than just be a pass blocking reactionary type unit. This is more of a drive blocking team now that's going to get after guys and try to get down the field. And the running game's been fantastic this year for Eastern, and that's one of the big differences between this team from 2017.
Of course, Eastern Washington always has a good quarterback, and this year, even though it was a backup to start, pretty good. 7 touchdowns in his final game, in that semifinal game. So he can wing it, but he can run it. Maybe most impressively, he can get out of the pocket and make plays.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic arm, and he's got great legs. He's one of the fastest guys on the team, and that makes it really hard to defend Eric, because he can score it from 85 yards, and he can throw it for an 85-yard score. So, he's a dual threat, true dual threat quarterback, and he's a little harder to defend, I think, than Gubrud was.
Eastern defensively is very opportunistic. 23 turnovers forced, a ton of interceptions. They like to go get the ball.
Yeah, they do, and that's one big difference from last year's team and from previous year's teams. The 2010 National Championship team forced over 40 turnovers. This squad's forcing a lot of turnovers as well, and the most turnovers they've forced since that 2010 team. So that's been a key for this defense.
There was a lot of similarities between these football teams. Very senior-heavy teams that just don't make mistakes, don't shoot themselves in the foot. When you look at North Dakota State, what do you think concerns that coaching staff over there?
Everything. I mean, this is a complete football team. They don't have a weakness. from what I can tell, their offensive line is dominant. Their receiving core is outstanding. Great running backs and a quarterback that doesn't make any mistakes and can win games himself with either his legs or his arm. Defensively, you've got great pass rushers. You've got an All-American at linebacker and 2 other guys that are pretty good there as well, and then a secondary with an All-American safety and a great kicking game and great return game. Great coverage team. So, you know, I really don't know where the weakness is on this football team for North Dakota State. But you're right, Ryan. They do things a lot the same. Both squads get freshmen, and they develop those kids over 4 or 5 years. Neither take very many transfers. They both try to do it the right way with a lot of character. And I know the people at Eastern and me, myself, have a tremendous amount of respect for North Dakota State and the way they've done things. And I think most of the Bison have the same respect for Eastern Washington. It would be great to see a rivalry continue here over the next few years, since this will be the 3rd straight year these teams have played.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with those sentiments as well. Larry, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Have a great call this afternoon.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Guys, back to you.
Well, the one thing I think Larry Weir had talked about is the ability for Eastern Washington's defense to take the ball away, and frankly, the Eagles have thrived on that. 4 turnovers in the quarterfinals against UC Davis, 4 turnovers of Maine in the semifinals in that victory. 32 takeaways is a lot of takeaways for the EWE Eagles. But LT.
But what's the most impressive thing about the Bison offense? They have given it away 9 times all year long.
In 14 games.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's all right, guys. Well, we'll obviously talk a lot more about this matchup and matching up the Bison with the Eagles for this one. Stick with us. Coming up after this break, we have a great story about Bison Nation stepping up and helping one of its own. That's next.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Welcome back. I'm Mike Morkin, and we are live from Frisco, Texas, as the countdown to the big football game continues. You know, we've been talking a lot X's and O's and how this game is all shaping up, but, you know, every once in a while we run into a story that is a little bit off that, but is equally as important. And I'm talking about my guest here, who's LJ Wells. He's from Granville, North Dakota.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what we're here for and why we're talking about it. And it's just a challenge that's come up over the last couple of months.
Yep. So around June, I woke up and we had found a tumor in my adrenal gland. And then a month later, after surgery, they had it biopsied, and I got diagnosed with a pretty rare cancer called adrenal cortical carcinoma.
And the challenges have continued to mount with regard to treatment, right?
Yeah, we started out with chemotherapy, which in itself is hard, and then after 2 rounds, we had learned that it wasn't working. So the last half month, we've been looking for answers, and on Monday, I'm starting immunotherapy.
And that's in Denver?
No, it's actually right out of Fargo.
That's out of Fargo, and then the trip to Denver is coming up?
We had to push it back because we're waiting for the insurance to let it go through.
So much happening to somebody who's a senior in high school. It doesn't seem fair.
No, but I've been able to handle it. I just take my punches as they come.
And you've got a lot of people to help absorb those punches as well. You've got your mom and your dad here. You've got fellow classmates who are here, and one of which is your name?
Shaden Luna.
Shaden, tell us a little bit about the support, you know, your reaction to somebody. I grew up in a small town. I know what it's all about. You know everything about everyone, and you become almost an extra arm, and now all of a sudden your classmate and friend is diagnosed with a very serious injury. First of all, the reaction to that.
You know, there was like so many people. Once that story got out of LJ, you know, it just escalated every day. You know, a lot of people did a lot of fundraising, mailed a lot of money. Just, they didn't even know who LJ was, and they just decided, you know, I'm going to give this kid some money just because, help him, you know, with his bills and stuff.
That's great. Nice effort. And one of the things that makes this particular day stand out is the fact that this is not only your first trip to Frisco and a championship game, but this is your first Bison football game.
Yeah, I was pretty excited when I found out about it. I've never had time to get to the Dome and see a game, and I'm going to be attending NDSU next fall. So coming to this game is my first one with my teammates. It was pretty special.
Wow. Well, we want to say to everybody that's gathered here in support of LJ, thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck. And, you know, we talked about support, and even that support has extended itself to people here who have come from Fargo and are willing to try and do something for you. And Beth Houle joins us with that. Beth?
First of all, it's fantastic to meet you, and we're so glad that you could make it down here. We talked to some of our friends. We've got Terry and Barry over here, and they have been doing some fundraising, and they've got something to tell you. Terry?
LJ, you know what? You're a wonderful young man. You're an inspiration to all of us grown-ups around here in Bison Nation. And we're going to indoctrinate you into the Bison Nation since it's your first game you've ever been to. And we're going to give you a little Bison helmet there for you to have and to wear at the game and take home and have a lot of fun. We also got together, and all of Bison Nation, you see everybody here, all 15, 18,000 people that come down every year, they're going to go ahead and give you a little fun for you and your friends, a little money. You can do whatever you want with the guys. Have fun. Do whatever you want. It's from everybody around here. We just want to say thank you. You're an inspiration for all of us, and good luck with your fight.
Reaction?
Well, this is pretty amazing. It's bizarre to see this travel all the way down here with us, and just shows you the kind of family that it really is with Bison Nation and everything.
All right, and we also want to mention that there is a fund that has been set up. Well, let's give you the money there, first of all. There
How about that?
Wow. And there's another fund that's been set up, and this is through the folks back home. It's through Merchants Bank, and the address is 202 Main Street, Towner, North Dakota, 58788. So for you folks out there watching and you're wanting to get involved in this, that's where you need to send your money. That's where you need to help. So, LJ, best of luck, and once again, go Bison Nation, right?
Yeah. Go Bison! All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey, stick around. We've got a lot more from this pregame show in Frisco, Texas, coming up right after this.
Welcome back inside our Fargo studios. The Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show rolls on just under 45 minutes before we send you out to ESPN2 and the North Dakota State and Eastern Washington in the FCS National Championship game. For now, let's go back out to the tailgate lot and catch up with Mike Morgan. Mike?
All right, we're back with more. In fact, this is our last questions of the year, so we got to get these right and end the season undefeated, right? All right, my first contestant is?
Todd.
Todd, you got some friends behind you to help you out. Okay, here we go. Here's our first question. Okay. This is Chris Kleiman's final game as Bison head coach. Where will he be on the list of all-time wins at NDSU? Will he be third or fourth? Oh, I got a silence back there.
Third.
Three?
Third.
Three is correct. He is third behind Rocky Hager, 91, Craig Bowl, 104, Kleiman, 68, soon to be 69. Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your first, Todd, there you go. $50 gift card, thank you very much. Your name, young lady?
Chris.
Chris? Where are you from?
Galesburg.
Galesburg. You live right next to our big tower, right?
I do. It's same section as Channel 4
It was
Tower.
still up when you left, right?
It's still up.
Okay, very good. Here's your question. Easton Stick and Brock Jensen are tied atop the FCS quarterback wins list. How many wins at this point? Is it 48 or 40?
48.
Confident group, and they should be because that's the correct answer. 48. He will soon to be 49, right? There you go, Chris. There is your gift card. And thank you so much for all our contestants this year. Time to take it back, but how about one last Go Bison for the year, huh?
All right, thank you very much, Mike, and thank you to our sponsors for Tailgate Trivia all season long. All right, let's go back out to Frisco. We go to the tailgate lot, and we join Beth Houle standing by with some more special guests, some more former Bison football players. Beth?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, that's right. Joined by a few Bison football players making their first trip ever down to Frisco as alumni. You guys made it here plenty of times as players, but we've got Cole Davis, Jeff Ilias, and Bryce Mesner joining us. Guys, how's this being on the other side?
I mean, it's fun. You hear a lot about it when you're a player, how much fun people have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And finally getting to experience it, it's been pretty fun.
Everything it was cracked up to be?
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I will say is everyone's like, you finally get to enjoy it. And we're like, oh, we definitely enjoyed it while we were down here winning championships and stuff. But no, it's cool to see the other side and enjoy that part of it too.
Yeah, it's like comparing apples to oranges because we had so much fun as players, and now this is just a different type of fun. But
yeah, they're both very, very fun.
Do you think you have a little bit more appreciation, though, for the fans? I know you guys have obviously seen the stadium full. You watch them rush the field every time you guys have been down there. But to really see the magnitude of how many people are everywhere.
Yeah, because getting to go out and about in Frisco and actually seeing all the people. Like, we were out and about last night, and everywhere we went was green and gold, and it looked like Fargo. It looked like downtown Fargo. It was pretty cool.
On the way down here, I was keeping up with that Bison Tracker app, and even that was just like a sample of how many people were going to be down here. It's just crazy because everywhere you go, this city's accommodating the Bison fans because
get this guy out of here. Cut it. Get him out of here.
He was smart enough. He kept moving. He moved quickly through.
Everyone knows, though. It's like even Uber drivers are like, yo, you down here for the game? We're like, yeah.
Well, there is a game today, Eastern Washington. You guys took on Eastern Washington the last 2 years of your guys' career. Second year under Coach Best. Everybody's talked about they look a little bit more like Hissy. You're seeing his stamp on the team. Have you guys kept up? Do you guys still look at these teams? Is it hard to turn off that preparation mode when you're looking at a game?
A little bit. I mean, you kind of always analyzing the game, and you still have that kind of sort of preparation game week feel to it. But I don't know. You guys can.
I think they're the same as far as explosive players on offense. That's their strength. They get those fast, big playmaking guys on offense. But they have done a little bit more with the run game this year. Their defense has kind of stepped up a little bit, and I think they're going to be a little bit more of a challenge than they have been in the past. But I think that quarterback with big playmaking ability that's going to be the guy to stop right there.
Yeah, we hear they're pretty solid. Haven't watched. I watched the semifinal game with them, but haven't necessarily followed them all year. But here they're a pretty solid team, and it should be a good game.
Is it really? I mean, explain that difference in physicality. I mean, you guys don't have to show up in the meeting rooms after talking to me this time. So tell me the truth. The difference in the physicality when you guys take on a team from another conference, is it really just totally different, light and day?
It's actually funny. That's like, you can be talking to one of your buddies, one of your former teammates or whatever, and be looking at a team like anyone they play in the playoffs, and you're like, they don't know. Like, there's all this hype coming into the game.
They might know for the first couple plays.
They think they know, but then we hit them in the mouth, and then they don't know what to do. So
third and fourth quarter, things shine a little bit more.
I think it all starts with freshman year coming in, developmental lift with Coach Kramer. I mean, he'll break you down and then build you back up.
Build you back
up.
up.
Big is that? I talked to the other guys earlier about the coaching change, but how big is that for NDSU to keep Jim Kramer?
Huge. I mean, he's a foundation of this program. He's
building
plays
block
a
101.
Huge role.
Definitely.
I mean, it's all behind the scenes, but he now is getting a little bit more credit for everything, and he definitely deserves that.
Is it only right too that incoming freshmen go through what you guys went through in meeting Jim Kramer?
Yeah,
definitely. It wouldn't be the same.
And I think the guys before us, I mean, it's the same thing. That's why we went through what we did, but Coach Kramer, the way that he does it, and the way that things just kind of mold into place here it's a little unique, I would say.
Yeah.
So
I think anyone would attest for it, but like my career, like the player I was able to become, is all due to him and the weight he put on me, and just he's an unbelievable person. So.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys joining us, taking some time out. I'm going to let you go and enjoy this moment because it's only going to get better from here. Coming up after the break, I have an exclusive interview with Mike Stick. That's Easton's dad. It's his first ever TV interview in Easton's entire career. A little superstitious, a little nervous, but we got him to talk a little bit about Easton behind the curtain. That's what next after this break.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Hey, welcome back out to Frisco, Texas. The fans starting to make their way into the stadium. We're going to head to an exclusive interview I had with Mike Stick, Easton's father, catching up a little bit about quarterback Easton Stick and who he is behind the curtain.
What age was Easton when you had any idea that he had this potential? Do you remember?
He's always been a pretty good athlete, you know, probably when he was 7 or 8 years old. He had played with some older kids and was able to be competitive and hold his own. So it was a pretty early age.
When you talk to parents, a lot of times they'll say, well, you know, maybe someday he'll get a scholarship for sports or something. When did you guys start talking to him about that and kind of planning for that future?
It probably wasn't until maybe he was a sophomore in high school, really. It's not something that you always think about, you know. He runs around wearing Texas gear all the time and dreams about playing and doing those things, but probably wasn't until maybe his sophomore year where you started to get some letters and those things. And yeah, we kind of thought, well, maybe we need to start planning and start to figure this out and see how this is going to work. So
when you think about the recruiting process and some of the different players that came in and out, what was it about NDSU?
Family. I mean, it really was one of those places that you got to and you realized this was it. And I think Shelly and I knew that before we got that cue from Easton. It felt different than a lot of places.
Tell me about when he said, because you said it was all his decision. So when he said, Mom and Dad, I want to be a Bison. Do you remember that day, that night, what that moment was like?
I do. To take you back a little bit, he got to a point where he was getting ready to make a decision, and I said, I need you to do me one favor. When you realize where you want to go, I want you to wait 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, if it feels the same, then that's where you know you want to be. The official visit Sunday morning, just before going to meeting the coaches, he was brushing his teeth and kind of got emotional and said, this is where I want to be. We're not taking any more trips.
You send your son off to college expecting he's going to follow and spend a couple years learning the position, and all of a sudden, we're at Indiana State. I know you were a nervous wreck. We have video evidence of it. But what's that like?
We had talked to Easton so much about his experience from the day he stepped on campus and working with Carson, and we had an idea of how much time he had put into things, of learning the process and talking with Carson and all that. So when it happened, we were nervous, but we were really comfortable that he was prepared to do it. You know, just from a parent standpoint, you worry that NDSU's on this big run, and then you have this young kid that's got to go in now. You're nervous.
Do you remember much of that game?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it the blood pumping in your eardrums? I mean, what stands out about that game? What do you remember most about that moment?
I think for me, I think I was proud, anxious, excited, nervous, all of it. But it was a lot easier to handle because, again, I knew how hard he prepares and the time that he puts into it.
You look at the football IQ, I mean, I'm sure you have always talked football with Easton, but as he's continued to come home year after year from sitting in that room with Randy, what's it like just to see how much that football IQ has grown and those conversations have developed? Do you watch football entirely differently now than you did 4 years ago?
Absolutely. We don't have those types of discussions anymore because it's just above my pay grade that way. I mean, it's just taken on a life of its own that way. But yes, he's learned so much from this program. And
he's incredibly professional and well-spoken, always kind and courteous. What's he like behind that curtain? What's he like at home? What's a Saturday in the summer when he's not up here training that, you know, the sticks are around the dinner table? Is he telling jokes? What's Easton like for you guys as a son?
A lot about what you see every day is usually what you get with Easton. He's very humble, very even keel. So what you see is what you get with him. He is never too high, never too low. And I think that personality allows him to do some of the things that he does on the field. You know, you see him, he never gets too rattled or too excited, but he always kind of seems. but that's in his personal life as well.
How thankful are you for the community, for not only your Bison family, but for the Fargo community, the state of North Dakota, how they've embraced your son?
Just thank you. Again, it's been just a tremendous ride, and I don't think there could have been a better fit than Fargo for us, but words won't do it justice. We're tremendously proud and thankful.
You know, guys, I really appreciate Mike Stick joining us for that one. Committed to that one of the first weeks of the season, and I said, if you're in Frisco, I want that interview. And he came through. He absolutely did. Shared some really cool stories. Going to put that entire thing up online. It was about a 25-minute interview. Shared a lot of the behind the scenes, what happened when Bull left, what's happened with Chris, the relationship with Randy, Carson. Some cool stories, though, about why NDSU, and I love that. There couldn't have been a better place.
They raised a very, very, very good son. And I know we were talking with the younger Stick, too, last night a little bit, and it's genuine. I think that's the one thing that you can see right off the bat is it's genuine, and Easton's a great guy.
You know, he is, and I think as a parent, I would just like to pick his brain. How do I do that? How do I get my daughter to turn out like Easton?
I said, how do you raise a kid like this? And he said, I don't really know. We just kept communicating with him, talked a lot.
But I think the biggest thing, too, with Easton is you can tell he has had very strong mentors. And I think that's an important piece of the puzzle, not only in college, but out through high school when you're growing up, is have people that you want to emulate and mirror what they do. And you can tell he's done that. He's doing a lot of the same things that Carson does, off and on the field. You can't overvalue the importance of that type of a relationship for a young man.
We've all gotten to know Easton throughout the years, and we all have our own stories. My story, my son Cruz played a football game in the Fargo Dome, fourth grade tackle football game. Wrote a letter to Easton, invited him to the game. Of course, Easton Stick shows up a couple of months ago, gives my son Cruz a locker room tour. It could have lasted 5 minutes, and I bet those two were in the locker room for 25 or 30 minutes. He's just a kid that gets it, and he cares, and it's pretty special.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're going to talk more about his on-the-field accomplishments, obviously, as we compare these two quarterbacks that are facing off today. But for now, we're going to pitch it back to the studio. Got a little business to take care of, a little injury information. Alex, how we looking?
All right, thank you very much, Beth. Yeah, we will check back in with those guys here in just a minute. But first, we need to get to our final Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine injury report. Ryan Gellner standing by with Dr. Bruce Pyatt.
Hanging out, as we always do, with Dr. Bruce Pyatt as we get ready for this football game. Bruce, it has been a long road, not just for you in this interview, but it has been a long road for these players. It is a grind. Now the off-season is here. When it comes to staying in shape and conditioning, how much of that takes place in the off-season and how much of it is just simply recovering?
Well, there's both aspects of it are very important, obviously. For those guys that have been fighting kind of nagging injuries, it's really key now to have some downtime where they're not having to do maximal output type stuff. They can let muscles recover, they can let joints recover. They have a chance to kind of really do the rehab they need to do to stabilize things better. But at the same time, for the guys that are really trying to get ready for next year, this is going to be their key time. This is where we're going to prevent a lot of the problems next year. You know, they're going to get a couple weeks break, but they're going to be right back at it pretty quickly, working at it.
Some of them will get tune-ups and minor fixes that you couldn't do during the season, and that's just part of the game and part of college athletics now. But so they'll go through that, and then they get that extra recovery time before they have to start running and lifting and doing those things.
Exactly. You know, it used to be a lot easier back in the day where we weren't making the playoffs and stuff. We got an extra 6 weeks sometime of them being able to rehab and recover from some of these injuries and some of these surgeries they'll go through. Now that time frame has really been cut shorter, so we're going to be under the gun for a few people. But we're really pretty lucky this year, and that really probably plays into how we've been successful too, as we've been fortunate not having a lot of injuries.
On the medical side, these guys are going. How important is this period where it's simply rest, recovery, medically, how important is that?
It's just imperative for them. You know, you think about your body, how when you work out and you go back to exercising again, how you feel and how much time it takes you to recover. Think about doing it at the level that they're doing it at. So not only are they getting that short break in it. They need some of that extended break. And some of the studies really show us these guys that are doing one sport kind of athletics, there's a lot higher incidence of repetitive use. There's a lot higher incidence of even more significant injuries just because of the trauma they're receiving over and over and over again. So if they can get away from it for a while, it really reduces that risk for them in the future.
As always, good stuff from the one of the Bison team doctors, and has become a friend of the show. We appreciate the insight and all the knowledge that you provide. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful off season. See you in the spring game.
Sounds good. We all got to think about that, huh?
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan. Here is the Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine injury report. Running backs on the list today. Lance Dunn, we expect him to go. He missed the semifinal game with an elbow injury. Chris Kleiman saying last Monday that he expects Lance to be full go. Bruce Anderson with a hamstring injury, the injury that he suffered in the semifinal game against South Dakota State. We do not expect to see Bruce today, so that is some big news for the Bison. He is doubtful. Seth Wilson, also probable with an injury that has been lingering with him. All right, stay with us. We come back. We will get you back out and get some keys to this game. That guy looks like Courtney Messingham. That's funny. Here we go. More Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show right after this.
Welcome back to Frisco, Texas, where many of the Bison faithful have made their way into the stadium. You, of course, can flip over to ESPN2 a little bit closer to game time. We'll take you right up to there. This, though, is Herdline News, and Bison tight end Ben Ellefson with a pretty nice award. He won the NCAA Elite 90 Award, which is presented to the student athlete with the highest grade point average at each of the NCAA's 90 national championships. Ellefson is a junior from just down the road in Hawley, Minnesota, with a 3.941 grade point average in sport management. The NCAA has also announced that the national championship game will come back here to Frisco, Texas for the next handful of years through the year 2025. Of course, the game has been here for the last 8 years. How about some numbers, guys, in our Herdline News? North Dakota State has won 120 of 133 games since they lost to Eastern Washington. The Bison will wear their green helmets today, and we've got numbers on that and their gold jerseys. The green helmets, NDSU is 13-0 in those, and 29-0 since they debuted those yellow jerseys a handful of years ago. One other note for Herdline News, and that's defensive coordinator Matt Entz was named the Football Scoop FCS Defensive Coordinator of the Year. The Bison have limited their opponents all season long on defense, and Matt Entz was named the Coordinator of the Year. He, of course, becomes the next head coach for North Dakota State. Let's get into our keys to the football game, brought to you by Dakota Magic Casino. And the first one is simply, let's get physical. And we're talking all about Eastern Washington, because Eastern Washington thinks that they are the most physical team that North Dakota State has seen, and they pride themselves a little bit for the first time in years, guys, on their defense. You can see the numbers, but defensively, Eastern Washington likes where they're at. Do we buy into that or not? Let's start with Brian.
I have a hard time believing that they have matched a team as physical as North Dakota State. I don't think that this is going to be the true measuring stick for Eastern Washington to see how far that this group has come. Do I think they're tougher than they were a year ago? Yes. Maybe be one of the toughest in the Big Sky? Certainly so. They're running the football much better, so I think that would equate to, yes, they are a more physical team. But they have not had to go through the grind of what North Dakota State has had to go through. Week to week, on the line of scrimmage, play to play. We're going to find out what they're made of here this afternoon. For me personally, I don't think they can hang for 60 minutes.
I don't think there's a chance they can. I mean, other than Weber in the Big Sky is, we all know, not very physical. I mean, their schedule is pretty soft. I mean, Northern Colorado is terrible. Portland State is terrible. And you're right. Even Nichols, I think, was okay, but even their run through the playoffs, I think Eastern's real happy they did not have it to play Weber again. But you're right, Brian. They'll have to test their physicality today, and it's a test I don't think they can come close to passing.
Our second key is Barricade Barriere, who is the quarterback, and his numbers are they don't flash off the paper, but what he does is flash off the paper. Another quarterback that can get outside the pocket. That used to scare NDSU. I don't think it does anymore.
You know, I just think he's one of those guys that we have seen as a dual threat guy. And honestly, I've been impressed with what he's been able to do since he came in for Gage Gubrud. They have not missed a beat offensively for their schedule. And he has provided a different dimension, I think, that they have not had before. That being said, he still does not have a lot of experience. And going up against a defense that is going to try to confuse him, he will take chances. That's the other part, too. When he escapes the pocket, he is not afraid to just throw the ball downfield, let one of his guys make a play. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Little bit of a catch-22 with the Bison defensive line against this kid because, I know, Coach Kleiman, we heard him say we have to keep him contained, to keep him, in the pocket a little bit, which kind of goes against the crush the quarterback at all, all mentality, which the Bison have to do. And I think that Coach Kleiman was telling me that they may have to adjust and do a few less coverages in this game today on the defensive secondary standpoint, just because they might have to spy him a bit.
And our third key is red zone success, and it goes both ways. Eastern Washington, they're going to move the football a little bit. The Bison, when they have the football, want to score. When Eastern Washington has it, NDSU has to be able to hold them out.
Well, and North Dakota State defensively has been so good in the red zone because why? They're tough to run the football against. The field shrinks when you have to throw at some of these 3rd and longs and 3rd and goals. It's just so tough to do that. Offensively, because the Bison run the football, their touchdown success rate in the red zone is off the charts. I mean, it's unbelievable. They almost never have to kick field goals when they get in there because they find a way to pound the football in, and they've done it in a lot of different ways. That's usually where we see the wrinkles from Courtney Messingham is when they get inside the red zone.
But, Brian, you talked about how the field shrinks, and I'm thinking throughout the course of the year, where were some big interceptions that the Bison made, some key plays where in situations like that, in the red zone where a team gets a little desperate, and so they get closed down right at the goal line, and we all know what Coach Kleiman says, field goals, they won't beat you.
Speaking of the head coach, had a chance to catch up with him late last night when he got back to the team hotel, and we previewed Eastern Washington. Well, Chris, after a long and grueling season, the end is near, and this, right now, certainly the most important one to get.
Yeah, absolutely. All the hay's in the barn, so to speak. We went through our final details tonight, and guys will get some rest. We'll have a quick walk through really early in the morning, go to our pregame, and it'll be time to tee it up.
Eastern Washington, a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't. They've got a really good offense. They've added a running game, and they can play a little bit of defense. Let's start with that offense, though. A mobile quarterback, I know that always scares a football coach on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a terrific quarterback, Barriere, and he's probably played a little bit more than half the season now. He's really comfortable in their offense. They've really designed the offense around him where he's going to be the focal point of running the football, and we have to do a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage. And if we're able to control the line of scrimmage and try to limit some of his success, you're not going to shut him down, but you have to limit some of his success.
Turnovers is always a big thing for you as well. They force a ton of them. They get a ton of interceptions, bunch of ball hawks over there.
Yeah, they really do. They do a great job. They emphasize turnovers, and it's something that we do the same thing. We talk about not giving the ball away, and we have a fifth-year senior quarterback that has done a great job of taking care of the football. And takeaways and explosive plays, those are things going to be keys to the game.
The thing I've noticed from you the last couple of weeks is you talk about these kids just being locked in. Is that the feeling you get going into this one?
Yeah, it really is. We had some great work in Fargo. Then we came here on Wednesday, had a nice walkthrough. We had some rain on Thursday, which we didn't really get a lot of chance to practice, but we had more walkthroughs, and it just tell the kids were really laser focused, ready to play, and I'm excited to watch these guys.
I know you're tired of this question, but the focus that you've had the last couple of weeks, how important is it for you to get this win, and how focused are you on this win?
Well, our focus is to play really well, and that's what we talk about all the time. If we dominate the standard Monday through Friday, we have a great chance to be successful on Saturday, and our players have done a great job. Our leaders, our seniors have done a great job of keeping everybody in check and keeping everybody accountable to that high standard.
One final time, we'd like to hear it. How about a Go Bison?
Go Bison. Thanks for all you do, Ryan.
Appreciate it. We will preview both quarterbacks when we come back. Game time around the corner. Stick with us right up until kickoff.
Seven and a half minutes on our Coors Light countdown clock, taking you right up to 11 o'clock for North Dakota State and Eastern Washington. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks that will be playing for both sides today. Let's get our Bobcat heavy lifting report first. And we've gone with the linebackers. We say contain Barriere, keep the cup, and tackle, tackle, tackle. Head coach Chris Kleiman saying whatever team executes the best, going to be the team that comes out on top. Now, let's get to our QB comparison. Easton Stick playing in his final game for the Bison. He's got 2,500 yards this year, 61.8% on his completion percentage, and 40 total touchdowns, 26 through the air, 14 on the ground. On the other side for Eastern Washington, it is Eric Berrier. He came in for Gage Gubrud halfway through the year, 2,252 passing yards, 61.9% on his completion percentage. He's got 24 touchdowns through the air. He runs the football pretty well, 600 yards on the ground. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns. He is coming off a 7-touchdown performance against Maine in the semifinals. Eric Berrier is a guy for Eastern Washington, a guy that the Bison are going to have to keep in check. That's why we went with the linebackers for that Bobcat heavy lifting report. Keep your eyes on number 3 for Eastern Washington, and obviously number 12 for the Bison. Easton Stick going after win number 49. That would break the all-time wins record, in the FCS. He currently has tied Brock Jensen with that. Both quarterbacks sit at 48 entering today's game. Easton with a chance to become the all-time wins leader in FCS football. We will step aside one final time. We come back, we'll get the final thoughts from our crew down in Frisco, and then send you over to ESPN2 for the game. Stay with us here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Just under 2.5 minutes on our Coors Light countdown clock before the football game kicks off. Let's go back out one final time to our crew in Frisco, Texas for their final thoughts. Guys?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, we're out here in the tailgate lot. You can see it's a ghost town out here, but that's because that is going on right now. The flyover underway here in Frisco as we are getting real close to kickoff of this national championship game.
Final thoughts for me in this championship game as we get the flyover is I think since the Bison won in 2013, this will be their 4th game down here. I believe Eastern Washington is the worst defense of those 4 years. The Bison offense, a lot better than they were last year.
I never thought I'd see a team as good as the 2013 Bison team. This team has a chance to be in the conversation and go undefeated. It's been a remarkable run, and Easton Stick has a chance to become the all-time winningest quarterback in FCS history, replacing an NDSU quarterback. Unreal.
Who would have thought that could happen? There are 51 seniors playing in this football game. 27 for Eastern, 24 for NDSU, but I think it's a couple of underclassmen we need to watch today. Quarterback Eric Berrier, who's a sophomore for Eastern Washington, going up against Jabril Cox. And we'll watch that matchup play out. Jabril's been pretty good the last couple of weeks against
Good luck.
Good luck is right.
Yeah, well, guys, it's been an outstanding year. Can't wait to watch this national championship game and to see Chris Kleiman go out with a win. Watch Matt Entz take over that moment on the podium. It's what I am looking forward to. And like you said, to see Easton Stick become the all-time winner, gosh, I don't think anybody deserves it more than that young man. It's been a fun year. We thank you for joining us out here in Frisco. Alex, what you got for us?
All right, thank you very much, guys. My final thoughts is actually nothing about the game. It is a sincere appreciation and thank you for all of you for tuning in each week as we put this show on. It is a lot of work, but it is a labor of love. And we want to give special shout outs to photographer Dave Erickson, who works his tail off for us all year long, to director Ben Gilbertson, producer Cam Daly, everybody that works on this show. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the game. ESPN2, the national championship between North Dakota State and Eastern Washington. Thank you, everybody.